to the Inner Typewriter, the show with typewriters, coffee, and conversations about how to make our writing better. And with me today is Melissa Cistaro. She's the author of this memoir, Pieces of My Mother. First of all, welcome.
Thank you, Scott.
And tell us about the book, first of all.
Yeah, just briefly, it's a story I spent 12 years working on. It is the story, had an unusual growing up. My mother left our family when we were all under the age of 5, my brothers and I. And we saw her about once a year, sometimes twice. So it's a story about growing up without a mom and how that shaped me as a parent. And the narrative is set during the last 6 days I spent with her before she died. And it was during that time that I came across a folder called Letters Never Sent. And those were letters she had written over a period of time that gave me some further insight and became part of the narrative of the story, to have my mom's voice and my voice
Wow.
back and forth in time.
Wow, that's very powerful stuff.
It's good to get out in the world.
Yeah, but you're also working on some other projects, not yet
I am working on a novel. I'm having a lot of fun with that, and then I got kind of pulled into a nonfiction project too that I'm also excited about. But they're very different animals, so I'm going back and forth.
Yeah, so you can speak to writing nonfiction, memoirs, fiction, all kinds of
yes,
things.
my accomplishment is in memoir, and now I'm going down the path of novel writing. It's all storytelling, though, right?
Yeah, it's exciting too.
Thanks.
So today's show is about NaNoWriMo, which for those viewers who may not know, National Novel Writing Month, which is November, which just happens to be the first, 3 or 4 letters of novel, November.
I didn't
realize that when I first heard it, but I think there's a correlation there.
Okay.
But you take 1 month, you pledge that you're going to write at least, I think it's 50,000 words, and it's like a pledge. It's like, I liken it to, we all kind of are recreational writers throughout the year, just like a cyclist might go out for a ride every weekend or so.
Right.
This is like the Tour de France.
I like
It's
that.
every day.
Yeah.
It's a slog, and you have good days and bad days. So for people who are watching who are thinking about doing it, thinking about NaNoWriMo, first of all, what do you think of this phenomenon?
I think it's a great concept, and I think it is really a great thing to get the creative juices ignited. To really begin something. And I know people who have done it, and I know people who really commit to it. And I think that just the fact that there's a month carved out and there's sort of this movement around it, I think is very healthy. I don't know if, I know that I could not write a novel in a month. That for me, that wouldn't be a goal, but I would very much like to use that as a platform to increase my writing. And in fact, I have done that in the past with a friend, where we say, we're gonna do this NaNoWriMo, but we weren't planning on completing a book, but like a bigger commitment to writing. So you can take it for what, you can use it in different ways. And I think it's possible for people to do it and be successful. I would say that it should be a first draft.
Right.
Right.
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just only 1 month.
Yeah.
And I think one of the rules is even don't spend time reading what you've written, just keep going, because it's boiled down to just 1 month, and the only way to cross the finish line is to take every step forward. In a race, you can't go back and, I didn't take that curve very well, so I'm going to go back and do that again. It's just writing forward till you're done.
Maybe I didn't know that fully about that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, it's one of the takeaways, and it's a strategy that some people have had.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you did do it, and you actually, before we talk about if you did do it, let's talk more about that sort of using it as a platform where other people are taking this pledge to write at least 50,000 words, but you're saying use that energy, but and that enthusiasm, but make it work for you, and don't necessarily take on some arbitrary deadline and arbitrary goal. Is that right?
Well, it's tricky because some people work really well with goals, and if you're a person who if you're given a goal and you're really good about meeting your goal, then you might go the distance with it, right? I mean, it's not that I'm not good with goals, but I'm not a fast worker. I think you have to know yourself, and if you're someone who can take up a task like that and say, I'm going to just commit to this, and of course you need some time, right? You know, you need to carve out that time each day. I think it's possible. But you were asking me, what would I do with it? Or
Hold on to that thought.
Okay.
I mean, let's say someone watching right now is thinking about doing it.
Okay.
What would be some reasons why they shouldn't?
Why they shouldn't?
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to set yourself up for beating yourself up and failure, right? You want to know what you think you can accomplish, right? And maybe you say, I'm going to do NaNoWriMo, but my goal is to get to page 200 or 100. Like, if you could just break it down into what works for you, I think that would be, you just don't want to set yourself up to like, oh, I was going to write a novel and I totally failed, right? Because as we were talking in another segment about no writing is wasted writing. So if you write and you commit to NaNoWriMo and you write, what is it 50,000 words?
I think I should have looked it up, but yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. But you know what? If you write 50,000 words, there is something in there that it might not be that all those 50,000 words were wasted. I mean, you can pull such gold from that time you spend. So I would, if someone's feeling up to the challenge, I absolutely would say go for it.
So you're saying,
but with not a high expectation of like, now the book is finished and I'm ready to present it to the world.
Right.
I say, if you're going to try NaNoWriMo, try it, get as far as you can with it, and then set it aside for weeks. Don't even look at it. Give it some distance, and then go back and read what you wrote, and maybe share it with someone else.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some stories of people who they're sick of it by the time the month is over, and they don't look at it for a year, and then they go back and go, oh yeah. So you're saying, if you go into NaNoWriMo, don't think of NaNoWriMo's definitions of success and failure as necessarily applying to you, because no writing is wasted, right? If it helps you do anything, then it's a success.
Yes.
And it's not a competition.
No.
Some people may treat it that way, and for some competitive, literary athletes, maybe that works for you, but it doesn't work for everyone. So just
oh my gosh,
guard yourself.
Like do it because you want to do it,
yeah.
Not because you feel you should, and do it because you want to, right?
Don't do it to beat someone else. Do it for yourself, because it'll help you become a better writer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So okay, if you did it starting tomorrow.
Is tomorrow November 1st?
It could be. If you had to start writing a novel in a month tomorrow, what would your approach be, knowing how difficult it can be?
Yeah, I would take away a lot of expectation, and I probably would continue working on the novel I'm working on, and it might be a good exercise for me, actually, to just, if I went through that month and just went forward and didn't go back and edit, but just kept moving forward and see what happened. If I'm saying no time is wasted, then I'd have to follow my own rules.
Yeah.
I would work on the novel I'm working on, which is about 3 generations of women, a mother, a grandmother, and a daughter, and how their lives intersect. And I mean, it's about more than that, but I would go down with their history and write through. Yeah.
And when the bad day hits, because you're gonna have good days and you're gonna have bad days, and you're gonna have days where you're just like, I just can't write today. You have to write double tomorrow.
Is that what they say?
Well, I mean, it's such a small amount of time. People think, a month I could write 2 novels. But reality sets in at some point.
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated in those moments?
If I had committed.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have to sit in the chair and just just write a lot of crap, right? And sometimes that's okay, you know?
In fact,
you shouldn't try to write anything good. You should just try to get it on the page, right? I think taking down the expectation.
Yeah. I feel like that's part of it too, is you eventually get to a realization where you're like, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just about the journey of having written something for a month and going through that process.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, as I'm thinking about it. So I count my writing time sometimes as my thinking time, because sometimes my best thoughts come after I've been writing and I'm driving home, right? And there's something that sparks, and that's not time sitting at the page. But I count that time because I'm working the story out and I'm working it through my head, and some of those best insights come when I'm not at the page. So I think those times count. And I think sometimes too, the challenge with the NaNoWriMo is that for me, I need distance and space after I've written something. So I don't know, you got to count your thinking time and your page time.
Yeah, I like that.
And give yourself a break. Like if you're really working the story through your head, but you're not sitting down, I don't know, those words got to count somewhere on the word count. Yeah.
And I like the idea of using your time, you know, maybe it's in your commute, maybe, you know, when you're in the shower, you know, your brain can still be, you could even be subconsciously working on it while you sleep.
Yeah.
And then by the time you actually sit down to start writing, you're good to just go. And don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, or even the words on the page, even it's just the same words over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Which, you know, Stephen King made that work, so why not us?
Yeah. Stephen King's book on writing is great. And I recommend, if you like listening to books, to listen to it because he reads it.
Oh, I love it when
it's
the authors
really
do
fun.
that.
It's called On Writing. It's a great book on writing. Really simple, straightforward, and it inspires you. Like, I can do this.
Terrific. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe inspire yourself on the day before you start as well to get off on the right foot.
Yeah.
No reason to stumble out of the starting block, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for those words of wisdom.
A little bit of wisdom.
Wishing you well on your projects as they're coming along, and your completed book again is the memoir Pieces of My Mother. And our typewriter for today was a 1983 Sears with correction, and that had the little strip of white at the top where you could type over your mistakes before the digital delete was even a major thought for people who were writing. But it's totally non-electric, and it's just so slim and sort of the cream and black. Couldn't resist it. So happy typing, everyone, and please share, follow, and subscribe, and we'll see you again real soon.